Well, hello everyone who is here. My name is Jaede Bayala, and I am the Assistant Gallery Manager here at Studios Inc. I am joined by Alex Coffey, who is a senior at KCAI and has been an intern with us for the past 2 semesters, and then Hannah Finnan, who is our Exhibitions Coordinator. And a little bit about Studios Inc. Studios Inc. is a 501c nonprofit that offers studio space to mid-career artists. And if you're interested about residencies or becoming a patron, you can always stop by and come in to talk to Casey. So let's get started with the questions. My first question for Alex is, how was curating this space different than other spaces you have curated in the past?
This was a lot different just because the work is sort of given to us by the artist. I feel like I've been curating shows where like at painting where we go and we choose all the work, and so we're deciding ourselves what we want, or like a call out where we're asking a bunch of people to give us work, and then like there's a jurying committee, so we're having to decide on like several different factors. But for here, it's a bunch of different artists who are working together, and they're like, here's work that we're giving to you for your your collection. And so it's a totally different experience of being like, how do we put these works together in this space?
Yeah, of course. And then what was your sort of process or method for curating?
I really wanted the works to like coincide. I didn't want anything to compete. I think it's important that you showcase that they're all like doing similar things or whatever is going on. Like I really enjoy conversations between like Leon's work and like Hadley's work, where they're using the wood on the wall, or like there's very different material use, but they're thinking sort of similarly in terms of like hardware hanging.
And then what was your most favorite piece to see installed in the space?
Ooh, I think it might be Hadley's medical gown, just because I love the way that it works with the wall, and then it works with the shadows the lights can create. And there's something about the sheerness of the fabric and sort of the interaction with the viewer, like moving around it, it sort of moves it. I think I really enjoy when like work can be attentive to the body.
Yeah, and then a final question for you. What was your biggest challenge in curating the space?
I would say Leon's work, just because he has some really ambitious work, and like I think the adult shield is such a like massive, heavy metal object, and we had to figure out like how are we going to hang this? How is it going to sit in the space? I think the same thing would go for his wood piece over here, just because it was so heavy. So you're really like being like, okay, I have to ask the artist, how is this going to be done so that it looks right and it feels good with like what we're doing in here.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I guess, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about in this space? You know, we have a lot of good conversations going. How are you seeing the works sort of maybe talking to each other? Is there a story you're seeing in the flow of the space?
I'm really interested like in here with Leon and Hadley's work. I think there's also something really nice between Kate's work on this wall and then Casey's work on this wall. Sort of like, I guess it's the frames, but also it's the transparency, like the glass versus I think it's glassine that the clay is on. Something really nice about that, but also how Kate's work over there on the other side of the room works with JT's pieces. The red is really strong, and especially on the gray wall, there's something about like moving over there where it's like kind of not seen, but then it's like a real powerful like stopping point.
Yeah.
What was your process in talking to artists and deciding how you were going to bring the work together?
I don't know. I think there was a lot of sort of like I would come in and I'd find out we had a new piece. I think there was a lot like Hannah was dealing with a lot of them more so than I was, but I think I was like asking like how things were installed, or like having pictures of the work was really helpful so that I understood what needed to be done when I was putting a work up. So it was really nice to sort of hear what they were thinking before I did anything first.
Yeah, so this show is our recent acquisition. So artists don't pay any rent to us, and in lieu of them not paying any rent, they donate work to an amount of about $5,000 each year that they're in their 3-year residency for us to then collect into our collection and sell to fund future residencies. And we've been collecting since 2015, and what we found is it's really difficult to sell really large work now, because it's not that collectors don't love it, it's that they're running out of room for it. And so we were kind of wanting and asking for smaller pieces from artists and helping them choose work that, we thought was a good size, but also would like fit that price range. And so I know Casey was like really concerned about what she was going to give us and if it was going to be like enough or what it was going to be like. But what she ended up, deciding with us is actually like really beautiful work. And it's nice because it could be sold as a set, it could be sold individually, and it can be rearranged in so many different ways that we can continue to play with it. So I think it was actually a really nice, almost centerpiece to collect because it really kind of informed how we curated the rest of the show with like its botanical elements, the transparencies of it, how it was talking to like Hong's prairie hair piece and Hadley's gown. So I really ended up like loving what we've collected for this year. I think the show came together really beautifully, and even though like none of the artists really knew like what the other one was donating, it ended up like being really cohesive.
So now we are in the exhibition hall, and I will be directing questions at Hannah Finnan, our exhibitions coordinator. So this is quite a large space compared to our front gallery. Do you prefer to curate larger spaces opposed to smaller ones?
I think this space is definitely more of a challenge than a smaller space is because it feels like there's so much room to fill. But I mean, people give us really big work, which makes it easier to fill this space. But I think it was a really fun challenge, and I think I would enjoy curating larger spaces in the future.
Mhm.
It's definitely kind of my first like experience working with the entirety of this space.
Yeah, and then I wanted to ask you, same question I asked Alex, what was your method or process for going about curating this space?
So I really wanted everything to talk to each other this year. And in doing so, as we were starting to get the work, some people had like placement requirements. They had like an idea that they really wanted to do, like the salon wall with Armin and Caleb. They were pretty adamant on like, we want this wall, we have this idea. And we're like, okay, cool, let's work with that. And so kind of, having some anchor points, I guess, and then not like filling in the gaps, but placing pieces so that like it would flow from one end of the space to the other space because it's so large. And so there was definitely some shifting around, but I had a pretty good idea when we got the work. So I was like, okay, this needs to go here and then here and then here, and it's going to be beautiful.
Great. And then two-parter, what was your favorite part of this process and then the hardest part?
I think my favorite part was honestly like lighting the exhibition because that's when I felt like it really like came together. I think the hardest part is when we are given smaller works, still like getting it to shine in the space compared to like such large pieces like Kate's or Melanie's. And so I really wanted like Peregrine's work and Casey's work and JT's work to still really like shine and talk to each other and have their moment in this space and not be overshadowed by the other work. And personally, I think we did a good job in that. It all really flows nicely and it doesn't get overshadowed by anything else.
Yeah. And then in this space, what was the piece you're most excited to see installed?
So I honestly think it was probably Leon's piece because it was the last piece to be installed. And so I really wasn't sure what to expect. The photo we got actually looks very different than what we have now. Like I didn't realize it was going to be so big. And I had like some worries about it, like, cutting the exhibition hall in half and blocking. I actually think it like really tied everything together super nicely and it works really well right in the middle. And so I was really excited when I walked in and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I think both of these spaces have been put together in a really great way. I'm really excited that we, just have had such a good time with the art in these spaces and how it's, I don't know, attracted or created stories or new narratives. So yeah, thank you. And then are there any questions from the audience?
What is your dream project to curate?
I think I would want to do like a fully blacklight show with all like UV work. I think that would be really interesting because there's a lot of different mediums that you can do. Like they make UV glass and UV paint, and all sorts of things. I think it could be like a really cool alternative space as opposed to like a traditional like white wall regular lit gallery. And so I think that would be really fun. What about you? What's your dream?
I'm really interested in seeing the different ways that like fiber work can be integrated into other mediums. I think that's something I do in my own practice, but I love to see different artists doing it and how that can be applied to like a gallery space. I just love seeing people take something out of its own context and reuse it. So I'd love to see that.
What's too thin in Studio Z now in the process. You excel on every project. You're about to graduate
Thank you.
in KCAI. What are your plans? What's your Kansas City?
I mean, I think I'm gonna go home and like relax away from school just so that it's nice to take a break. But I'd love to do residencies. I think I'd love to like take that time to work on my art and work on my practice before going for a master's program. But definitely like taking that time to just chill out for a second. I think that's really important to do after school.
You were the lead intern. Your senior year, now your second semester here with us, and you grew into our exhibitions coordinator. You're about to leave Kansas City as well and go to grad school in Pennsylvania. Can you tell me a little more about your plans and your career path?
Yeah, so I'm switching directions a little bit, and I'm going for a master's in interior architecture. But I think my time here has really like kind of led me to that path because working on all these different exhibitions, I've really seen how the spaces have transformed. And so that's really kind of interested me in how like I can like take a world and bring it off of a canvas and make it into an entire space. And I have a real interest in restoring old things to their former glory. And a lot of the artist run spaces, including like this building, are, old warehouses that have been remade into gallery spaces and artist studios. And so being in those places and in Kansas City for so long, I think has really inspired me to kind of take that somewhere else and really push that forward. So exciting.
Finally, Jade, I wanted to congratulate you. You interned with us as well, and you excelled at everything you did, and we found and have been working on this. And I just wanted to share your blog that you have on our website. And you're now our assistant gallery. And you have plans to start your own magazine. Can you tell us
Yes.
a little bit about that?
Thank you. So I have really enjoyed the challenge and experience for writing for Studios Inc. Coming in as an intern, it's not something I had done very often unless it was for a paper or an assignment. And so really finding that love for art writing has been, I don't know, it's been a really great experience, and there's been so many challenges and successes. And after writing so much about amazing established artists, I realized, well, there's not a lot of spaces where I see something similar, but for people like me who are, under 25, maybe they're still in school, just, young emerging artists. And so I thought, well, if I don't see that space, I might as well start it for myself. So I am starting a print publication called The Emerging Voice. It will be running monthly during the school year. So I will have my first issue coming out in April. I'm really excited about that. And then hopefully a May issue. And then over the summer, just having some interviews and studio visits. I've already had some people submit and look for adding their writing and reviews of shows into the magazine. And so I'm really excited to see how it's going to grow. It hasn't even been printed yet, and I have so much excitement around it. So I'm really happy and excited and nervous, but a good kind of nervous for, this endeavor that I've decided to take on. It's sort of like my baby that I'm nursing and growing myself. So I think it's really a great opportunity for me, but also for other young artists who might not think that they would get recognized until after they graduate. So I'm very happy to be able to give and amplify their voices.
Studio's name is ample gratitude for the time you have. It's amazing to see you grow and spread your wings and fly. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming. As a reminder, we have a new show opening up in May. May 2nd, Misha Kligman's work will be in our front gallery, and then May 3rd, there will be an artist talk. So thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for